All right, good evening, everyone, and we'll call this meeting of the Traffic Transportation Commission to order and welcome everyone on this beautiful Thursday evening, and thank you for being here. So I think before we start with the actual meeting, we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. And Chrissy, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Howell?
Yes?
Commissioner Canseco?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez-Reyes?
Present.
And Commissioner Quigley?
Present.
Staff has received notification that Commissioner Cox unfortunately has resigned due to moving out of the city.
Yes, so I now have the pleasure to move from the vice chair role to the chair role. So bear with me as we move through this process. Thank you. So the first up is our opportunity for public comment, and this is public comment for items that are not on the agenda, because those items will have an opportunity for the public to comment specifically about them. So I recognize Mr. Peterson is joining us, and thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Peterson. Just two quick items. First, there was a news article the other day about Hoboken, New Jersey. Hoboken took Vision Zero seriously, and they haven't had a vehicle fatality, bicycle fatality, or pedestrian fatality in over 7 years. Another example of how Vision Zero works. Second, our police department recently was awarded a 6-figure grant for bicycle safety. Bicycles are transportation. I'd like to suggest that the Traffic Commission interact with the police department and get reports on this, what they're doing to make bicycling transportation in Salinas safer. Also, this is yet another good reason to bring back the Bicycle Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I always appreciate your advocacy for that. Next. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Jose Guerra representing Montebello community. We need to get the process that we need to follow to get speed bumps put in. I know some stop signs were approved on Scornberg and on, I believe it was Freedom Parkway. We need a couple more stop signs also. I live on Verona Court, and through Verona Way, as you come in through Montebello Boulevard, there's a lot of people speeding through there and coming down, I believe it's Tuscany also. We just need to know what the process would be for all of us to, besides filling out the paperwork, how long does it take? When's the deadline? Is there someone that can email us that information so we can get all of our people together, get the signatures down, fill out the application, find out when traffic calming is coming so we can have all that set up. So that's pretty much what I want to find out, more information on that to keep my community safe. Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Can I ask staff to maybe follow up with him? And thank you. Next, good evening.
Good evening to the Traffic and Transportation Commission. My name is Paul Hernandez, and I'm a resident of Creek Bridge. And anyway, we're getting our Common Street, the bumps in. We got approved on Coventry.
Oh, are you commenting on the traffic calming on Coventry?
No, I would say thank you
yes,
for
that's on the
getting all
agenda
that.
for
But
just a few
also
minutes.
that street, Independence, across from the high school, and you got two schools there, and you got these big trucks from Safeway going back and forth through that. It's posted, and they're tearing up that street. I know they're going to work on it, but too much weight. Also, you got Wren Trucking deliver gas to Safeway. That's a no-no going by two schools, because traffic accident or God forbid terrorism, it happens, and you know what? We need to make those trucks loop around. It's for our safety, for everybody's. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment on something that is not on the agenda tonight? Hi, good evening.
Hello, Commissioners.
I think about 2 months ago, my name is Leo de la Rosa. About 2 months ago or so, I came down, and I just thought I'd mention, I asked if you were aware the businesses between, on Sanborn Road, between Circle Drive and Market Street. Those businesses, out of all of them, only the post office has a no turn left sign. Yet there's a lot of people turning to the left. Even the lanes are marked, not supposed to make a left turn. So I don't know what became of that. They're still doing it. Nothing has been done. Okay, that's one. And I have another one. Well, I guess for now, I'd just like to know, when could I hear something about that?
So you're asking about, you made a request to the city for a left-hand?
Well, I came in, I don't know the process. I came in and mentioned it, so then at that point, I don't know what you are supposed to do.
Okay.
But, okay, that's where I'm at, so I haven't heard anything. Nothing's on the agenda, so I sure would like to know what the results are going to be, or decisions.
Okay, well, we'll get city staff to also talk to you about then the process and how that works, because we get the request then from the city, if that's a project that they're going to take on.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, how you doing? I also live at Montebella, like some other folks that are in the room. Just to restate what he said also, we're really concerned about our traffic situation. We also have a question of, we have Vanguard Farming that is using Caterpillars and large vehicles on our roads, and we just want to know what type of policies there are about having that large farming equipment using our roads for normal traffic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. One more public comment?
I had another one. Okay, right here, going on Lincoln Street towards, like, you're driving to this train station, you hit Market Street, there's a stoplight. Okay, I travel that road every morning and in the afternoon, and in the morning when I'm coming to work, or when I'm going back home, I don't know, if I'm going through Lincoln, make a stop on the signal light on Market, and if I want to go straight and I have the green light, there's no way I can go because people are blocking it, okay? So I don't know where it's the law here also. In Yuma, Arizona, I got a ticket for blocking traffic, so just let you know and see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other public comment for something not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move along then to the first item is really just our consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from December 7th, our last time that we did meet. So unless there's any edits or changes to those minutes, if I can get a motion to approve?
Well, if I may, there was the matter that came up like 2 meetings before, whether we have to preview to actually do studies. And that was my question and interrupt. Oh, sorry.
Did you guys hear me? Okay, so, thank you. So going back, a couple meetings ago, it's kind of like, from what I could read, what we're
So
supposed to do.
excuse me, Commissioner Quigley, though, this is the minutes from December 7th.
I know, so it's right there. It's part of this about on the agenda, making a motion to consider a recommendation. Okay, so I was reviewing that. Okay, that is on the minutes.
It is. And
Okay, so anyways, from what I remember, he said, oh, he's going to get a hold of the lawyer and he's going to
So-
get back to us. So that is not kind of like what happened there, that I would, it never was resolved. So the idea that you guys tell us stuff and that we do something,
So
that's not how it works.
Commissioner Quigley, the
If they
minutes,
decide to look at it, That's how it works.
Commissioner Quigley, the minutes reflected that the question came up about how to agendize something, and today we all received a memo, 3-page memo from the city attorney addressing that, and I was going to make comments on that when we get to the comment portion. So it is reflected in the minutes that the question was arised, and we do have a resolution on that.
Oh, so did I get that?
It was emailed to all the commissioners this afternoon.
Oh, this afternoon.
Yeah.
What time was that? 1:30. Okay, so
But
isn't
it's
there
not-
like a 72-hour window on
No,
stuff?
it's not for discussion tonight because it's not an item on the agenda. It was merely responding to our question, and then we have an opportunity to review that on our own.
Okay, so this is something we're going to continue, right?
Correct. Okay, if I can get a motion to approve the minutes from December 7th?
Motion to approve, please.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call?
Commissioner Howell,
Yes?
Commissioner Canseco,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez Reyes,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Quigley.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So moving along now, we go to the one item that is on our consideration agenda, and that is item 24-139, which is the Coventry Street Neighborhood Traffic Calming Plan. And I think we have a staff report for that.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. So this item is Coventry Street Traffic Calming Plan, and it's a motion recommending the City Council approve the Coventry Street Neighborhood Traffic Calming Plan supported by residents. So a little bit of a summary about Coventry Street. The city received a petition sometime in April of 2022 from residents. That's the summary here kind of wraps up and summarizes basically the process for traffic calming. This initial bulletin point outlines the initial, which is plan initiation. City receives a petition. We received it for Coventry Street. From there, it gets prioritized, and council approves a prioritization list. Coventry Street was ranked third highest for traffic calming prioritization for fiscal year 23-24, and that was something that was recommended by the Traffic and Transportation Commission to City Council. And then following that, the second phase would be plan development, and that's when residents and city staff meet to develop a plan, and that occurred as well. And then from that, it moves over to plan support. And the plan support, the community votes on the developed plan that was put together during our community meeting with the neighborhood. That's the third step. And then the fourth step is plan implementation, and that's where we're at now, where we're kind of bringing it to TTC for recommendation to council. So the neighborhood met the support criteria required by the policy for the plan support, and that's why we're moving it forward or recommending it forward. A little background prioritization, nearly 25 neighborhoods petitioned for traffic calming last year. The budget adopted was $400,000, and the neighborhoods are prioritized based on data via council resolution from 2017. Coventry Street, this is the traffic study data that was collected. Now the criteria for traffic calming to be prioritized takes into consideration what's seen here, but it also takes into consideration land use, collision history, as well as geometrics of the roadway. On the westbound or west side, of the neighborhood, there was some high 85th percentile that came back. Westbound traveling speeds were 42, eastbound 38, and a combined of 40 miles per hour of the 85th percentile. And the 85th percentile is an engineering term. That means 85% of the vehicles are going at that speed or lower or below. This is the plan that the community came to a consensus on. It's 4 speed cushions. There's 2 on the west of Danbury and 2 on the east side of Danbury, and then a traffic circle at the entrance of this community or of this neighborhood. The plan support phase, so there's a total number of households was 165. The number of ballots to meet the 50% requirement was 83. The ballot return rate that we received was 58, and that's because we received a total of 95 ballots. 77 of those received were in favor. There was 15 that were against, 2 incomplete ballots, and that puts the percent ballot in favor at 81%. And the percentage required for both, obviously it's shown for the first one, which is we have to receive 50% back of the ballots we sent. And then of those 50%, or of those ballots received, 67% have to be in favor. So both of those, as you can see, have been met. The fiscal impact for this project or these improvements is nearly around $168,000, and that's using the city's job order contract and bidding for the traffic circle. On our on-call for traffic control devices, we don't have the installation or for the contractor to install traffic circles, so that will either have to go bidding or we would have to get proposal from other on-call contractors. In the past, as mentioned previously in other presentations, the city maintenance crew, if they assist us and they do the work, it lowers, or at least in this situation, they would perform the work of the installation of speed cushions only. And if they assist us in that, the overall cost for these improvements is a little above $100,000. And there is sufficient funds in the traffic calming program budget and also in the street repair traffic safety budget. And the recommendation, a motion to recommend to the City Council the approval of the Coventry Street Neighborhood Traffic Calming Plan supported by residents. And with that, I'll open it for questions and comments.
Okay, we'll start with questions from the commission. And Commissioner Quigley, do you have any questions regarding this?
Okay. The last time we did this was the one for Nogales, if I remember right. I'm looking at both of these, and the background on this current one is different. Okay, so why was history rewritten?
The background?
Yeah, the background summary, one thing in particular was taken out of it.
We added...
The program was established initially to address concerns from neighborhoods that could not be supported by traffic enforcement since it was impractical at the time to deploy traffic enforcement officers in residential areas. So that's, I don't read that in this current one.
I don't...
If you could bring that up.
Don't
If you
recall.
could bring up staff report.
The staff report, yeah.
Sure.
Are you asking a question about what was in the staff
Why was the
report?
background changed?
Well, they're two separate projects, so this is its own project. Are you saying that the wording is different from a previous project?
It's the same type of project. The background has been altered to remove that one statement.
What's the section?
I'm looking at the one from the June of 23. No, wait, no, sorry. Let me go up here. I'm looking at the one for Nogales Drive, the last one we did. And I'm comparing it to the current one we're doing, the new speed bump calming project. And that blurb has been removed. I want that blurb put back in there.
Yeah, I don't have that one to pull up necessarily, the one from June, if that's the one you're referencing, but we can take a look.
Not all staff reports will be the same for every project. I mean, different information comes up, different reasons, different criteria.
That's right, but this has been an ongoing thing with these calming projects, and all the other ones we looked at last year all had that that statement in there. And that statement is saying that we're from 2 decades ago, the city went this way to put these in because the police were not enforcing speed traffic control or, enforcing the laws in residential areas. And so this has become the solution. So I would like that put back in so that we see this for what it is. This has never been a traffic issue. This has always been an enforcement issue. Okay? So if this little street here we're gonna look at, and like the rest of them, if you put a cop out there and he starts nailing people with tickets, okay, these same people, they're not coming from San Jose to speed down here. They live in this region, and they're using those streets to do that. So the point I've been going on over and over again about these speed calming things is we're using money that's supposed to be for traffic to supplement the fact that we're not doing enforcement. If we did enforcement, so back to that issue, the enforcement issue is that, as far as I can remember in the budget thing, the police department has a lot of money that's not being used. So since this is to fix what they can't do,
I
this
think
should be paid for by them. So I wanted to.
Again, this is based on traffic calming plans that the city's established, and citizens and residents can come forward to request a review or a study of their neighborhood. Yes, traffic's the issue, and yes, it's speeding is the issue. So I don't think anybody's trying to deny the fact that speeding and the lack of consequences for speeding is a problem, but neighborhoods want traffic calming for a lot of other reasons other than just speeding. So, again, are there any other questions regarding
Yeah, and a
this?
little more is, council puts the budget, at the end of the fiscal year to go into the next. They've already allocated budget and appropriated budget for this program, and it allows the residents to submit the petitions and go through the process to receive these traffic calming devices. And that's why we meet with the neighborhood. That's why we come and present this. It's out of kind of our scope, staff's scope, to determine where the budget goes. And it's something that council comes up with and approves, and that's why we're working with these neighborhoods. It might be something that you can bring up to your council member in terms of, your point of view in terms of where should money be allocated.
I'm not pursuing that. I'm pursuing the fact that was in all the other ones we did last year, and it's probably been in most of them. And I was just wondering how it disappeared. The background has now been altered because so we're like in we're moving forward, forgetting the past of why this was done 20 years ago, right?
Gerardo, do you have notes on?
So could we put that back in there?
Yeah, we can take a look at that section in that language. But overall, I mean, let's just say council allocates money to PD, there's traffic enforcement available. If this program still exists, then per direction from council, we will still be moving forward with these. Yeah,
So it's okay.
okay.
So,
Is there another question related to the project?
one of the attachments is that 106-page report from 2002, right?
Yeah, it's the policy that we currently have.
And I was able to go over all those 106 pages, and I went over a little bit, but some of the stuff in there referred to getting a hold of the garbage, the fire, the buses, all these other different stakeholders, and getting their input on this, right? And I seen that there was like a couple of that, but I didn't see the rest of that. And every time this is done, all those entities are contacted and they send you a little letter going, it's okay?
The policy in itself, when it was built, all these affected services got together and they developed the traffic calming toolbox, the traffic calming process. So they're all aware of these devices that they agreed upon to have within this program. There are situations where we might reach out to fire in regards to certain traffic calming devices. But overall, all these services were primarily gathered to come up with the policy, with the overall policy.
No, the way it's worded is more like, every time you're gonna put something to an effect, you're gonna make sure that it doesn't affect them. So you bounce it off them going, hey, you guys got a problem with this, right? You know, I mean, you take a fully loaded fire truck, right, with all that water in it. They hit these speed bumps, even though they're like offset like that. You can't hit them with that kind of a weight, right? So were they contacted about this on this road in particular?
Not for this project, but again, I think the initial policy was them coming together and putting the policy together. If you see otherwise, we can revise. I can take a look at the policy itself.
So back to the study. The study referred to contacting all of them, getting their input to make sure that the other stakeholders weren't affected. Okay, so when I noticed that down there's like 2 out of the 4 are noted inside the thing here. Okay, thank you. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm done.
Commissioner Hammer, do you have any questions?
I do, just a few. You mentioned that this was the 3rd highest. I forgot what the number 1 and number 2 were. Could you remind me?
Number 1, I believe it was Rainier Drive. Second was Nogal.
Awesome, cool. And then you said 165 households were notified. How far up the street, like, at what point does that limit sort of start? Yeah, that's a map, that's perfect. Where, is that the whole neighborhood basically all the way up to Glendora? Or was that 195 or 165, I'm sorry?
Yes, so this did include this neighborhood here. There's 2 barricades or closures that close off this neighborhood. There's a closing here on Coventry Street, and then there's one on Inglewood. So basically, this community has only this entrance and exit. And, you know, when it went time for the voting, they're all affected as part of the traffic circle right at the entrance. So
There's
they were
like
all,
traffic diverters where vehicles can't go through, but peds and bikes can?
yeah.
Awesome, cool. And then when you guys draw up all these plans, they're according to engineering specs that all vehicles can clear these curbs and clear this roundabout or the circles and the cushions, so nobody has any problem traversing them?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. And then this traffic calming, it's more of a proactive measure, right? So when police or enforcement isn't there, these things will remain, so you'll continue to have the benefit of them, correct? That's what they're meant for?
Yes, they're basically, we go through the process mentioned earlier. If they ever want to be removed by residents, there is a process for that as well. But yes, as long as the residents don't want to remove it, then they would remain.
Okay, so it's a proactive measure versus a reactive police force.
Correct.
Cool, thank you, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Canseco.
You mentioned there was 400K for funds. Is this covered this one, or is there still more money for more speed bumps?
That covers this one. There's another that we're in the process of working also, which is Roche Avenue. That was the 4th highest. So in the near future, we will bring that to the commissioners as well.
Okay, well, to me, something is wrong over here. Something is not right. How come Northside is getting a lot of speed bumps that are implemented in a lot of streets, but what about District 2, District 1? I don't see any speed bumps on the streets. I think on District 1, it's only one on, forgot the name, the new one over there by the schools.
Paseo Grande.
Paseo Grande, I think that's the only one. Why some of the districts are getting more speed bumps than other streets? Because I know the traffic is bad everywhere. I mean, I'm a driver, and I see the traffic is bad everywhere, not just on North Side or South Side, but it's the whole city, not just the city, but the county.
So before 2017, there was within the policy, there was a criteria on how city staff would tackle these requests, these petitions. In 2017, City Council approved the prioritization criteria. And from there till now present, we follow that criteria to prioritize all the petitions that we have and that we receive in a calendar year for the following fiscal year. Basically, at the end of a fiscal year or entering a new one, we analyze all the petitions that we have received for that previous calendar year, and we basically follow the criteria presented to the Traffic and Transportation Commission to recommend to City Council an approval of a prioritization list. Based on the allocated budget and appropriated budget to the traffic calming, we work based off of that approved list.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, excuse me, Commissioner Gonzalez-Reyes. Any questions?
Question and comment at the same time. And just elaborating more on my previous colleagues. And I do see this project as a heavy investment, right? 166,000 plus. And the question not relies on how much we're going to spend, but when it will be delivered. We've been approving projects, speak humps, et cetera, and I haven't personally seen them being already put in place. And I see that this one has had a significant timeline, right? And the residents in this area are in the need of us coming with solutions together to reduce the speeding of vehicles right there, and which happens across the city. Lately, it has happened more because we could see now a lot of street, tire marks all over the place. And putting speed humps, putting roundabouts, it's more of a superficial solution to the main cause, which is a very holistic cause at the same time, in the sense that not just from the traffic safety awareness from our residents here in Salinas, but also how certain codes need to be enforced. And I do understand that all businesses, agencies, organizations have a significant shortage of staff, right? And therefore, we have to come up with solutions to somewhat alleviate these holes within the system. And the only recommendation that I make is that if approved, that it moves fast enough so we could be very responsive to the needs of our community. And at the same time, if our city employees are not able to work on this project or other projects, which is in cost significantly less, then let's just move on contracting out, right? If we do have that budget allocated for this fiscal year, let's just use it, do the projects, and move on, right? Not until we're fully staffed around, we'll be able to enforce the code. And I would also like to see, and it goes tied to this, that as a city, as a community, we bring the traffic safety awareness at a higher level, right? We shouldn't wait until an accident happens or someone gets injured.
Yeah, so I guess just to answer a portion of that, and it was regarding, sorry. I know there was a question
Did you
in
need
there.
the question again?
I'm not sure if you could repeat it or.
I think I understood the question, and I think it's mainly the time frame, right? And how long it is that the commission moves forward with these recommendations, we take them to council, and what's that time frame afterwards? So just to answer and kind of clarify one of your statements, staff is not waiting to be fully staffed before we move forward with these projects. What previously happened, I know in a couple of instances, is we're trying to coordinate projects. So I know that there were a couple of Iverson and Acacia, Rainier, where the pavement was bad in those locations. So we didn't want to install something that could possibly, with the movement be removed. So what we're trying to do is coordinate it with our pavement project. Unfortunately, when we try to do it with last year's pavement, which is the one that we're finishing up right now, with that project, the price just came in way too high. So now we're working with this year's project, which the contract technically hasn't, is still routing. So we just got that awarded. So we're going to move forward with approaching that contractor to do that work. But it is kind of to your point, it is a tedious process, but we do move forward with these projects. We're not just waiting. We don't take them to you and then just, log them and call them done. We are actually actively moving forward with them. It's really just whether it's we need to hire a surveyor, whether we need to hire other consultants, we're doing that, but all of it is a process.
Thank you.
So just a clarification, I just want to confirm that this project and the traffic calming project for this particular neighborhood came forward as a recommendation from the Traffic Commission to City Council, and it was approved there?
Yes, it was part of the prioritization list.
Okay. Is there any, well, actually, thank you for mentioning the prioritization list. So to your question about different districts, when does that come up before us again? Because it's a once-a-year thing, right, where we are
Yes.
able to review those lists and make recommendation to council?
We usually try to bring them either May, June,
Okay.
kind of so that when the budget for that following fiscal year begins, we can start coordinating meetings, have already a prioritization list, and start reaching out to schools or start working with the neighborhoods.
Great, okay, so coming up maybe
Yes,
soon.
within the next 2 months, maybe we
Okay.
have something.
Great. And then just more of a general question, just so that maybe we understand how many different infrastructure projects might the city be managing right now? I mean, not just this one coming up, if it's approved, but all the other ones that you were mentioning. Do you have a rough estimate? I mean, 10, 15, 20? And again, I don't mean to put you on the spot and get
No,
a
no, no.
definite answer, but I think just to kind of
I'm
understand
trying to, because we had a utility coordination meeting, and
Okay.
just today, so we kind of put some projects that we
Okay.
have within the next 4 months. But I would probably say around 10, between 10 to 15.
Okay, great. And trying
Yeah.
to manage all those different project management timelines and
Yes.
things. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that is the only questions I have. And so what I want to do now is open it up to members of the public who are here and would like to make a comment specifically about this particular project.
Yeah, one of the things that I found out recently is that some of the communities that are not serviced in the same way, for example, East Side is not serviced in the same way as North Side. The actual tax income is coming out of the East Side. If the money is pulling from a community that is seen less desirable than another community because discrimination is something that is something that's very real, and privilege is something that's very real, the people that are bringing in the tax dollars should be served the same as the people that are bringing in their privilege. And so if you do have a prioritization list, then I would make sure that the districts that are underserved are on the next priority list is 1, 2, 3, and that if you find that there's disparity, such as was brought up here, that you work to make sure that there's equity across the services that you are providing. And again, if 60, 70, 80% of your income is coming from the East Side, give them the respect and the services and the resources that they deserve, right? Because if we looked at who says what, the North Side is being benefited from the actual income that's coming from the East Side, but yet there's a discriminatory view and perception of one being better than the other. Thank you. Sir, I just wanted to thank you so much for saying that and putting that forward within your team.
Thank you very much. Hi.
Hi, I wanted to add a little bit on that. I do appreciate all you guys, all the hard work you do. But I do believe that, like he said, especially in Montebella, we're being ignored over there. I mean, not just with traffic. I mean, we're talking about city issues, a lot of things. And, you know, we pay the majority of the tax. I believe we're probably the highest tax in the whole city. And I believe that we should have a little bit more, how can I say it without being disrespectful? We should have a little bit more consideration. You know, that since we're putting a lot of the money up, why is nothing getting done on time? Why do we have to ask? And the same issues come up every city council meeting. This is my first meeting here, and thank you for having me. I'm going to be back, and I want to be part of this. And I understand Mr. Quigley's point on the policing. That is a fact what he brought up. I mean, it might be a different extent of it that this gentleman has no control over, and I understand that. He doesn't have control over law enforcement. That's a whole different issue. And Mr. Consejo, thank you for stepping up and telling us, you know, we are being neglected. I'm glad somebody else sees it, not just me. I mean, I live there. I've been there almost 20 years. And it's like in that same house, you know, in Montebella. And it's sad to see that our parks, everything is not being taken care of. Like, we're being ignored. I mean, we supply most of the revenue in the city, and no one is taking the time to. I'm going to use an analogy I used the other day in a city council meeting. You know, I'm knocking at the door, and everybody's looking at the peephole, but nobody's letting me in. That's all I got to say. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for being here. Hi, good evening.
Hi, Commissioners. I was here in the last meeting about 2-3 months ago where we were talking about Montebello, Freedom to Skonberg, all the way around to Barden. And I just come to report from the last meeting that you were not informed by the police department of the vehicles that have accidents that have knocked the light poles. They've ended up in the ditch from Freedom where you turn to go to Skonberg. There's a big canal there. So if you're going 70, 80 miles an hour, they just fly right into the canal. And so we had February 5th, 2023. We had July. That guy took the pole, went around the street, took the pole. And then December, we had another one. That was a bad one too. I guess the lady passed away, or they had to bring her out in the ambulance, whatever they call it. So in this time frame, we have bad accidents, 2, 4, 5, on that little street from Padova to the turn into Skonberg. And they all fly to there, and half of their car stays there. That lady ended up in the ditch. So the street had to be blocked. They brought in fire engines, ambulance, hooks to bring the car out. And it's just getting worse because they just speed through there. And we requested information, and I guess we cannot apply for slow down speed bumps on Freedom for some reason. So that's why we're here, to find out how we're going to slow that down. That's my question.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on the Coventry traffic calming project? Okay. Thank you for your comments. And again, I thank you to staff for maybe checking in with those residents from those neighborhoods to help them learn about and understand how they can go through the process to request this. Okay, with that, I think we did ask questions. There were a couple comments. Maybe I'll just go back around if there's any additional comments by commissioners before we call for the vote. Commissioner Quigley?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammer?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez-Reyes? Sorry, I signed you.
No comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry I psyched him out because you thought I was going to. Okay, and I don't have any additional comments. So the motion before us is to recommend to City Council to approve the Coventry Street Neighborhood Traffic Calming Plan supported by residents for implementation. So if I can entertain a motion.
Can I make a motion that we modify to reflect the previous history of it?
The staff report? Thank you. So the motion is to approve the resolution for the traffic calming plan with the additional comment added to the staff report to reflect previous reports similar. I get it?
Only change history.
Okay, we have a motion. Can I have a second? Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So roll call, Chrissy?
Commissioner Howell?
Yes?
Commissioner Canseco?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammer?
No.
Commissioner Gonzalez Reyes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Quigley?
No.
Okay.
Okay, with that, 3 out of 5 passes. Okay. Thank you very much. And again, thank you to those of you who made the comments, because it's really important for us to hear from residents. I mean, we all represent various parts of, we represent the districts either by appointment from that council member, or in my case, the mayor. And we try to bring those comments here. We also try to work with our elected officials to share those comments. We wish we had a magic wand to add to the budget. But all we can do is advocate to our electeds, as you are doing, to prioritize things in the budget. I know the city just went through a lot of community budget workshops, again, to work with residents to identify what are those priorities. And I think we hear every time that traffic and speeding and safety concerns for kids and schools and bikes and things like that it is a big concern out there. So again, you being here and making those comments is really helpful to us, and we appreciate it.
Can I ask a question really quick for
Of
clarification?
course. Sure.
The last motion, the motion that was just made, was the motion to include the past verbiage in the new staff report. Is that what the motion was? And that's what we voted on?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I want to clarify that I actually am for this staff report. I just don't feel the need to add that verbiage. So that's why I voted no. I want the traffic calming, but I didn't see the need for that additional verbiage.
That means you're changing.
No, I'm not changing my vote because I said no, but I want people to know that I want the traffic calming, but I don't see the need for the additional verbiage. So that's why I voted no versus yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so that concludes the items that are on the agenda. Now we go to commissioners' comments and reports. This is our opportunity to share again anything we're hearing from our residents and neighbors in our communities. I did want to add, though, that the commission did receive via email today a written response from City Attorney Chris Callahan, and this was in response to a question that came up by Commissioner Gonzalez Reyes at the December 7th meeting, and that's what Commissioner Quigley was referring to in the minutes. There was a question about, can we as a commission add items to the agenda? If we can, what is the process for that? And the chair at the time was Commissioner Craig Cox, who's no longer here. He did say, and I watched the meeting after the fact, he did say that he would reach out to City Attorney Callahan, which he did, and City Attorney Callahan responded. And so we just got that response today. It's quite an extensive piece of information. It's not on the agenda, so we're not going to discuss it tonight, but I just want to reflect that, that we did get that. If you haven't had a chance to see it, check that. So it'll give us time to reflect on that. And I would just say that if there remains any questions from the commission after reading and reviewing this, then Mr. Callahan did say he would be available to come to next meeting and answer any additional questions. So I just wanted to say that.
Jump in.
Sure.
So if there are any questions with regards to that memorandum sent by the city attorney, we would ask that you let us know so that it does get agendized. That way the public is aware that we would be addressing that item.
Great, thank you. Yes, I definitely want to make sure that it's part of the public agenda, that people can see. But again, it was really addressing, and I appreciate the question that came up at the meeting, addressing how do we add things to the agenda? What does it mean to study something, And if we do add something to the agenda, what is the process for that? So I found his response really helpful. But again, if anybody has any questions, please let staff know, or tonight even say that you would like Mr. Callahan to come to a future meeting to answer those questions. And with that, I think we'll go to opportunity for commissioners to offer any reports or comments. And I'll start now to my right with Commissioner Gonzalez-Reyes.
Well, thank you. And I'm just going to follow that line of thought. And I really appreciate Chris Callahan on taking the time to draft this memorandum with the date of today, March 14th. And answering the big question, right? May commissioners add items to the commissioner's agenda? And going through it, I do want to highlight how, he states that commissioners may request items. Such requests should be made during commissioners' comments, reports, as part of the agenda, and obviously follows Robert's Rules of Order. And staff, based on their capacity, they'll bring those items in future agenda items. So I think he gave us a great response, and it's an outstanding step forward, as in the sense that we could now better serve, in my opinion, our community that brings issues, right? And now we're able to study those issues as our main role as commissioners, and make those recommendations to council or the city manager, so that way they could look into it, right? We don't have the power to manage budget or do action items, et cetera, but we do have the function to provide those recommendations, right? So council takes action, or our city manager takes action as well. So I'm very grateful for this. In my case, I have no questions. It's very clear if you read it. He does address all the questions I had, but the main question was, can we, right, put an item? I think that was the whole essence of it. And on a second note, hopefully rain goes away. We see the forecast. We might have some rain. We just want everyone to bear with the city officials. We see a lot of potholes. Streets get bad or worse, right, as they were. And that slows down projects. I fully understand that we can't work on something if we don't fix the roads, the streets first. And hopefully when the storm comes down, the city can just, bring the roads back as mostly as they were, so that way we could have residents in Salinas drive with care and be cautious and take care of their property as they drive through the roads, and that trickles down on safety for everyone. So just bear with us. We do have the Connect app, so if you see anything, just report it, and eventually they'll get into it. It's still raining, so my recommendation is, just wait until it stops raining. Hopefully soon. Today, this week was a beautiful day, so hopefully it remains like that. And just recognize the city. Thank you for all that you do through this hard times. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice comments. Commissioner Canseco, any comments or reports?
I just want to thank everybody for coming to our meeting, and just to let you know that we just made recommendations to the city council. We don't make the decisions where to get fixed or all this. And also, I would like to thank everyone over here because they have been fixing a lot of streets and sidewalks, but I think it still needs a lot to be done. So, the big issue is the money, isn't it? There is not enough funds to fix, because at least where I live, the streets are getting worse and worse. They come every year to just fill the potholes, but they come like twice or three times a year, and they're just spending so much money on doing all this. It would be better just to fix the whole street, I think.
Sorry. I completely agree. Yes, and I don't know if you listened in on the council meeting. I forgot which one it was already, but a couple of council meetings ago, I gave a presentation on a policy that we'd like to move forward with. Similarly, the way we prioritize lane striping, the way we prioritize, traffic calming, I'd like there to be solid data-driven policy for prioritizing also roadway maintenance. So ultimately what happens is we have a lot more needs than we have funding. So ideally we would like the data to be the guidance for where we make these repairs. And so in order to do that, we'd like to set a policy. But that's still forthcoming, so we're going to be moving forward with the Finance Committee on April 9th, and then following Finance Committee, we're moving that same policy back to the City Council.
I think once you mentioned also there is a lot of different kinds of grants that the city can get from the state. If maybe they can ask for some?
Unfortunately, there are no grants for repairing potholes or for repairing surfaces. There are grants for improvements and for traffic safety. And actually, we did receive a $16 million grant for Williams Road. So Williams Road will be, we will be working on safety improvements of Williams Road that will include basically reducing the number of lanes in order to enhance safety for pedestrians and bicycles. We will be installing 3 roundabouts, and the limits of that project are from East Alisal to Freedom Parkway.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, down now to my left, Commissioner Quigley.
Well, to follow up on what you just mentioned, that was this transportation workshop, correct? On February 1st,
the transportation workshop, that's part of the active transportation plan. And the active transportation plan basically is a planning document that's being developed. But the grant that we received, so the parts of the active transportation plan do look at different corridors. And one of those corridors was Williams Road, but the grant that was received was completely separate from that.
Okay, so there was 2 things. You started out with you wanted a plan to try to figure out what you got and do the best you can to do maintenance. That was the first thing. The second one was the $16 million grant, correct? And sort of just the 2 things you just talked about?
So I talked about, the question had been whether there was any grant money to fix the roads. And I said, no, technically there is no grant money to fix roads. We do receive money from the state, SB1, to do road repair. We use that money for that, but there are no grant funds for repairing roadways. But there is grant funding for doing safety improvements. And so that's when I mentioned the $16 million grant that we received from the federal government for safety improvements.
Yeah, I also, you were like coming up with a kind of a plan to like look at all the striping and everything and prioritize how to move forward, getting the most you can done with what we have.
That's a separate item. So correct. So yes. So the other thing is we are going to counsel for a policy for pavement maintenance. Yes.
Right. Okay. So let's go back to, that's what this transportation workshop was, that I understood, because I talked to all those engineers that are doing all the designs to get their chunk of the 16 million, right?
No. So the active transportation plan, that's, like I said, it's a planning document to provide like a guidance for the city on how we can implement active transportation, that being improvements to bicycle and pedestrians.
Okay, so back to, let's just stick with this, you know. I mean, I went there, and what I found was you had landscape engineers that have got grand plans to reduce the lanes and to add a bunch of bicycle lanes, and it really looks pretty and stuff, but I don't think it's right to put landscape engineers doing traffic stuff. It seems like it's out of their range. And in case in point, let me just finish with that, is that when you go right out of the firehouse, you go to that little traffic circle there, it's got really nice landscaping there, but it's almost as tall as me. And then you got a school right down the road. And so I asked one of the young women that was engineers, I go, well, what about that? Well, we didn't design it. The deal is 3 foot. So now you're providing a sight distance problem for possibly small children to cross a deal, and the traffic won't see them. So I don't know, we make motions on that. I think that stuff should be removed. Okay, are you following what I'm saying about that traffic circle right outside of the firehouse? Crosswalk that goes across there?
Can you tell me what intersection you're talking about?
You know, right there where the firehouse is, where they have the meet. The last time we seen you guys, we were over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then you go right out you go right back there, you go across the way, and the vegetation that they put in, which were pretty and stuff, but it's a sight distance problem. And even the landscaping engineer, the engineers in there recognize that. So that stuff needs to be mowed down. You know, they need to drop that so that in case the kids come out of the elementary school down there, at least the drivers can see it. Do you see that problem?
I know which intersection. I'm not aware, and I haven't been out there to determine and identify the vegetation. But if it's a site visibility issue, it can always be submitted through Salinas Connect, and then city staff can review what's going on, and then we can request either contractor or in-house to trim any vegetation, any tree branches that might be obstructing any visibility throughout the city, whether it be for pedestrians or vehicle.
So I use that that's something I would consider that needed to be done immediately. And so, but the big problem I see here is that you had landscaping engineers wanting to try.
So can I clarify, there's no such thing as a landscape engineer? They are transportation planners who are working on the active transportation plan, and they do have traffic engineers as part of their team. So this is being developed in conjunction with traffic engineers and transportation planners.
Well, I took and looked them up. This one is a landscape architect, the SPA, and the second group that they're Ecology Action for Santa Cruz, they're the bicycle people, so they're getting what they want. Nice, pretty people, right? The other one, the third one,
Excuse me, is this, is there a point of order or a motion or something, a point of order I can say? Because this is there's basic comments that we have to close out this meeting with, and we're grilling staff on items they have not even prepared.
Yeah.
I think we're going way outside of our scope.
Okay, well, let's leave that alone. Since you get.
So just for point, the active transportation plan, yes, it's in development now, and that will be coming to the Traffic Transportation Commission for review when it's
Correct.
ready. So I think that's the time to be able to review it then and discuss it more in detail. But going to the community meetings is really great, because that's how we learn about all these different things that are coming down the road that we could probably have input on.
Correct.
Okay, so
you know, leave that alone, right? And leave the other alone. So the public comment tonight, one was on bicycles. I would like to bring the attention to the bicycle, you know, what's like, sorry. There we go. There was a news report on KPIX about how they did the bicycle lanes up on Valencia Street. And it seems like they really missed the boat. This is kind of like what we're seeing around town here, is you're putting in, Frisco has a lot of places, I was up there just a couple days ago, a lot of places where bicycles are working well, but putting them in where they're not working, and that was one of them. They were putting the bikes in the middle of the street, and they took all the parking, now the businesses, the people are not going to the businesses. That was the sum of that report. That was on the first part of January that came in. And back to bicycles again, I would give on KSBW on 3-1 about that hit and run on Blanco and on Blanco. They killed the guy from Marina. He was 54 years old. The CHP spotted. He had no lights or scooter, and it was dark and rainy. Okay, so that's unfortunate. Another one was on 216 from KSBW about the, oh no, that's a different one, not the, the other bicycle one was on KSBW on 229 at Felton. And there was 4 bicyclists hit, and they had major injuries. And there was an 85-year-old that went around the corner up there and wiped them out. And the kind of point that I was making, and when I made that, is that we're moving to putting in all these bicycle lanes, and we're encouraging people to be out there, but it's dangerous. Putting these bicycle lanes in a lot of these high-speed streets and stuff is going to lead to that, because you have a lot of marginally functional people out there, like this 85-year-old or this 13-year-old or whatever, that the 40-year-old, I don't know, I shouldn't say they're marginally functional, but he didn't have no lights and it was dark, so that's a mistake. Anyway, so back to your comments on bikes, it's dangerous, right? Now.
So I think I just really want to help the commissioners understand this is an opportunity for any feedback we're hearing from our residents and our constituents that we serve. Is there anything like your comment about the
bicycle,
about the shrubbery overgrowth? This is really good for staff to hear so that they can add that to something. I don't want to go down opinions about whether bicyclists are good or bad. I just think I want to keep the comments helpful to staff. Again, sharing what we're hearing from our district so that we could provide feedback to staff that would be helpful, and certainly communicating with our council members.
Okay, so several of the gentlemen that were in here, one of them we had a good summary, he lives there, about the accidents, okay? You guys remember that? Okay, so a while back I asked you if you guys had were able to have accident reporting, and what I heard is you don't have a system that reports the accidents, all of them. Is that a correct statement?
We are able to request accident reporting from the police department.
Yeah, say that again?
We are able to make a request to the police department on accidents, yes.
Right, but the best way I've seen that it works is that the city keeps, or whatever agency it is, keeps track of the accidents. This way they know where to take care of safety studies. This grant that's going to be sent out there is you take and you look at where the people are getting killed, where they're having accidents. Also, back to your other map of the volumes and stuff, is that, so along that line, I say I make a motion that the city council compels the city staff to keep track of all the accidents, okay? So that you have a tool to see where to spend this $16 million. That's matching funds, correct?
You know, and Commissioner Quigley, I'm going to call that out of order. That is not our role. The city's done a Vision Zero plan, which the Traffic Transportation Commission approved and recommended to City Council to approve, I believe, 2 years ago, that looked at all of the intersections in the entire city to look at accident sites. I just want to be sure the city has processes and plans that have been in place that we, not necessarily all of us right here tonight, but that this commission and the city council has approved. And when you review City Attorney Callahan's memo, that is out of our scope of responsibility for the commission. We do not make motions to compel the staff or compel the city council to do something beyond that's directing them to do work. That is not our responsibility, and that's out of our scope. So I think with that, is there one other comment you'd like to make? Otherwise, I'd like to move on to
Okay, I don't know if it's called point of order, but in the memo that indicated that that you're the new commissioner, it also said that we should be pretty much it referred to, we should have a vice chair. We should elect a vice chair, shouldn't we?
The vice chair will be elected next month when it's on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because we learned from Commissioner Cox last week, he was no longer in the area, and the agenda had already been sent out. So that'll give an opportunity to agendize that item. Okay? Anything else?
So that's the last. I'm done.
Okay.
I could keep going, but you already told me no more. So we'll stop there.
I was just pointing out that you were attempting to make a motion which was out of order because it's out of the scope of our work. And again, I refer you to the memo that City Attorney Callahan gave us, which I think really outlines a lot of the questions that came up at the December meeting, and that will be helpful. And if there's additional questions beyond that, he has offered to come to the meeting if that's something we want.
So we don't learn the stuff we ask. Okay, let's stop there. Go ahead.
Commissioner Hammer, do you have any reports or comments?
Some comments, please. I'm very familiar with the Hoboken Vision Zero, which is quite commendable, and I know our city is striving towards that, which is great. I'm part of the ATP group. We've been meeting for, the past 6 months, lots of public outreach. I know you guys have been doing a great job, and there's some amazing bike paths, Class 1 and Class 4s coming down the road, which is great, which I, as a bicyclist, I'm very happy that they're coming. There are bad parts in the city, and there's good parts in the city, and some of them, and we're working to make them better, which is much appreciated. The traffic calming, I ask every citizen or every resident here in the city to file wherever they want traffic calming, and the worst ones get priority, which I'm a huge fan of data-driven science, data-driven results, and that's why I actually want to commend you on the PCI, Pavement Condition Index, right, PCI? The PCI presentation, which I thought was excellent. And it shows where the districts, to level them all up to equality, and then spend the money based on size and the amount of roads. So I think that was a very well done presentation. Other than that, I'm a big fan of road diets, slowing traffic down, making sure that turns are protected. So whenever our neighbors in Montebella like Scornberg, it's a wide street. So whenever we are in a position as a city to do road diets or even making the roads, when we're building out new developments, instead of making them 40 feet wide, go 30 feet wide or whatnot, whatever we are allowed to do in terms of safety, I think the city should, and I believe is doing. So much appreciated. Thank you very much. And that is the end of my comments.
Thank you, thank you. So a few comments I have. We mentioned earlier in the meeting that the police department had a grant for traffic safety, I think. So potentially a future opportunity to come before our commission here. There would be somebody from the police department to give us an update on that. I think that would be really interesting. So we would understand more about the work that they're doing. And we were talking about Vision Zero. At the end of the year, TAMC received a federal grant federal or state, but they received a grant to work on assisting all other cities in the county to achieve Vision Zero. So right now, the city of Salinas and the city of Monterey are the only cities that have passed a Vision Zero plan. So if you have not had a chance to peruse that for maybe some late night reading, it's really quite impressive. And I know the city spent a lot of time on that. So that was really good news that TAMC is going to be able to lead the effort for all cities to expand Vision Zero. And then I'm glad to hear you went to the ATP community meeting, because I think that's a recommendation I would make to any commissioner, and especially as we look to new ones joining us, because we have a couple vacancies. Whether it's a neighborhood traffic calming meeting or the active transportation planning, they had Vision Zero meetings when they were putting that together. It's just a really good opportunity for us to just kind of hear more again, what is important to residents, learn more about just the process, so that when it comes before us, again, these reports, they can be daunting and several pages, and I think it just sort of helps to put it in context. So I'm glad you went, and I think it's just a great opportunity, and I know Chrissy sends those notices out anytime there are community meetings, but please let us know so we could attend those if possible. And then I know, again, the city was coordinating a lot of community meetings around trying to get input from residents on what is important for them as the city goes through its budget process now. And I believe the budget is to be approved by the end of June, correct? To start fiscal year of July?
Correct.
Is that when a budget? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think, again, opportunity to share any comments we're hearing tonight with our representatives who appointed us on this commission, and keep our ears to the community and share those as much as we can, because ultimately it is the council that sets the budget, and that will include, CIP funds and traffic calming projects and things like that to ensure that it is equitable throughout the city. So I think with that, we check and see our next meeting if is, and I'm sorry I don't have the date in front of me, but making sure that April 11th, that all commissioners will be in attendance. Okay, great, thank you. And then hopefully we might get some new members soon. Yeah, so, and again, if you haven't yet had a chance, I'd encourage you to just take a look at the memo we got from City Attorney. I really appreciated him doing that. It was super helpful, I thought, very informative, and to let staff or myself know if you have any more questions about it, he has offered to come if there's a need. So I think with that, I'll call the meeting closed. Thank you. Adjourn.